Sometimes I wonder how we're still alive as a species. Because, honestly, humanity has tried really hard to delete itself. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. From nuclear upsies to killer space rocks, to one guy literally saving the planet by ignoring his computer screen. Here are 10 times humans almost ended the world and somehow lived to tell the tale. Let's get right into it. Number 10. The dropped wrench. Imagine this. You standing on top of a massive nuclear missile, a 30-meter tall cylinder of pure end of the world. It's 1980, Damascus, Arkansas. A maintenance crew is working on a Titan II missile carrying a 9-megaton warhead that's 600 times stronger than Hiroshima, enough to turn several states into modern art. Then, a technician drops his wrench, not onto the floor, onto the fuel tank. The wrench bounces, falls 80 feet, and because the universe loves dark comedy, it punctures the missile's fuel tank. Hypergolic fuel starts leaking, the kind that explodes if it so much as makes eye contact with its oxidizer. The crew evacuates, a repair team goes in, and they're basically walking into a giant ticking bomb. Hours later, at 3 a.m., the silo explodes. A 740-ton door, yes, tons, launches into the air like a metal frisbee, and the nuclear warhead is thrown into a ditch. Thankfully, it didn't detonate. If it had, well, you wouldn't be watching this video. You'd be learning about it in a post-apocalyptic history class. One man died, the base was destroyed, and the event was quietly swept under the nuclear rug. Because nothing says national security like, oops, we almost nuked ourselves. Number 9. The sky exploded. You're driving to work in Russia. It's 2013. Cold, gray, miserable. You're thinking about lunch. Maybe pelmeni. Then the sky explodes. A blinding flash brighter than the sun. A shockwave hits. Windows shatter, car alarms scream, and for a split second, every Russian thinks, ah, so it is World War III. But it wasn't nukes. It was a space rock, the Chelyabinsk meteor, about 60 feet wide, moving at 40,000 miles per hour. That's New York to LA in 4 minutes. When it entered Earth's atmosphere, it exploded with the force of 30 Hiroshima bombs. Nobody saw it coming. Not NASA, not Russia, not even the tinfoil hat guys. It came from the direction of the sun, impossible to detect. Over 1,500 people were injured by flying glass. 7,000 buildings damaged. If the rock had arrived a few hours later, it would have exploded over a dense city. And if the angle had been slightly different, it could have hit the ground, making a crater big enough to host a few football stadiums. And that's the scary part. This was just a pebble, a cosmic warning shot. We didn't dodge a bullet. We dodged a space mountain doing 40,000 miles per hour. Number 8. The bear and the bomb. It's 1962. The Cold War is on full blast. At Duluth Air Force Base, a guard spots something climbing the fence. It's dark, it's moving, and he's thinking, well, that's definitely a Soviet spy. He fires a warning shot and hits the intruder alarm. But thanks to a little wiring oopsie, the signal sent to another base, Volk Field, Wisconsin, is misinterpreted as nuclear war has started. Scrambled the bombers. Within minutes, nuclear-armed F-106 interceptors are ready to launch. Pilots sprint to their jets, thinking this is the end. Meanwhile, the enemy agent back in Duluth, just a curious black bear sniffing around for snacks. Luckily, one quick-thinking officer drives onto the runway, waving his arms like a madman to stop the launch seconds before takeoff. That bear has no idea it almost triggered global nuclear Armageddon. Imagine explaining that in history class. Yes, kids. Civilization ended because of a bear. Number 7. The ghost in the machine. Back in 2010, computer security experts found a virus that didn't steal passwords or spam emails. No, this one broke actual machines. It was called Stuxnet, the world's first real cyber weapon. It was designed to sneak into nuclear facilities, specifically Iran's, and sabotage their centrifuges. It would make them spin too fast until they shattered. All while the control room screen said, "Everything's fine." Basically, Stuxnet gaslit an entire nuclear program. The code was so advanced, it could alter physical reality, and when it leaked online, it infected over 200,000 computers worldwide. Anyone could now study it, copy it, and modify it. It was like humanity had just discovered fire, and immediately used it to build a flamethrower. The message was clear. Civilization runs on hackable machines. Your water, your electricity, your food, all one glitch away from chaos. Number 6. The computer that cried wolf, September 26, 1983. The height of the Cold War. Soviet early warning. Systems suddenly light up like a Christmas tree. Alarms blare. A red light flashes. Nuclear missiles inbound from the United States. This is not a drill. If true, the USSR must launch back immediately or be wiped out. One man, Stanislav Petrov, sits at the console. His job: to push the button that tells the Soviet Union to launch its nukes in retaliation. He stares at the screen. It says 5 missiles detected. His heart's racing, but something feels off. 5. He thinks. If the US wanted to start a war, they wouldn't send 5. They'd send hundreds. So Petrov makes a choice that literally saves the planet. He reports it as a false alarm and does nothing. Minutes tick by. No missiles arrive. Turns out, the system mistook sunlight reflecting off clouds for actual rockets. For real sunlight almost started World War III. Petrov got no medal, no ceremony, no parade. He was reprimanded for not following protocol. But for the rest of his life, the world owed him one massive thank you. Because for a few minutes in 1983, our survival depended entirely on one man's gut feeling. Number 5. The scariest PowerPoint in history. Let's jump to 1995. The Cold War's technically over, but everyone's still paranoid. A team of Norwegian scientists launches a weather rocket to study the northern lights. Totally innocent. They even sent out notices to nearby countries saying, "Hey, don't freak out, it's just science." Except, someone in Russia didn't get the memo. Radar detects a fast-moving missile heading toward Moscow. The signal goes straight to the top, the Russian president, Boris Yeltsin. He's handed a briefcase known as the nuclear football, and for the first time in history, it's actually unlocked. Yeltsin has 10 minutes to decide: launch nukes or risk getting obliterated. The generals argue, satellites scramble until someone finally realizes, wait, it's going the wrong direction. Just a scientific rocket. They call off the alert. World saved by about 3 minutes. Imagine ending civilization over a weather experiment. Sorry, folks. Humanity ended because some scientists were chasing the aurora. Number 4. The math error that nuked a planet almost. NASA launches the Mars Climate Orbiter, a $125 million spacecraft. It's supposed to study the Martian atmosphere, send cool pictures, and make humanity proud. Instead, it vanishes. No signal, no crash site, no nothing. Turns out, NASA engineers used metric units, while a contractor used imperial units. Meters versus feet. Yup, the classic America refuses to do math like everyone else problem. So when the spacecraft entered Mars' atmosphere, it was off course by about 170 kilometers and promptly disintegrated. NASA basically threw $125 million into the Martian trash bin, because 2 teams didn't agree on how long a meter is. Now imagine if that kind of miscommunication happened during a nuclear missile test, because it almost did several times. Moral of the story: check your units before you checkmate humanity. Number 3. Operation Able Archer 1983. Again, the most dangerous year you've never heard of. NATO was running a war game called Able Archer, a realistic simulation of a full nuclear launch scenario. It involved encrypted communications, new codes, fake troop movements, the works. But to the paranoid Soviet Union, it didn't look like a drill. It looked exactly like a real first strike. So they prepped their nukes for launch. real ones. Silos opened, bombers fueled, submarines moved into position. The West thought it was just another exercise. The East thought they're actually doing it. For several days, the world teetered on the edge of actual nuclear war over a misunderstood training exercise. When intelligence analysts later found out how close we got, one said, "We were probably closer to nuclear war in 1983 than at any other time since 1962. All because of a game that got a little too realistic." Number 2. The day the sun sneezed. Picture this. You wake up one morning, check your phone, and nothing works. No internet, no electricity, no satellites. That's what happened in 1859 during what's now called the Carrington event, the biggest solar storm ever recorded. A massive solar flare slammed into Earth's magnetic field, sending electric currents through telegraph lines. Operators got shocked. Telegraph papers burst into flames. Auroras lit up the skies as far south as Cuba. If the same thing happened today, it would fry satellites, cripple GPS, shut down power grids, basically reset civilization to 1800s mode overnight. Experts estimate it could cost trillions and take years to recover. And the best part? These solar storms happen every few hundred years, meaning we're due for another one. So yeah, if one day your Wi-Fi dies for good, it might not be your ISP's fault. It might be the sun sneezing on us again. Number 1. The most dangerous button ever pressed. Almost. Let's rewind to October 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the tensest 13 days in human history. The US and Soviet Union are staring each other down, fingers hovering over the red buttons. What you might not know is that the closest call didn't happen in Washington or Moscow. It happened under the ocean. A Soviet submarine, B-59, was lurking near Cuba, cut off from communication. Overheating, surrounded by US warships dropping warning depth charges. The Americans thought they were harmless signals. The Soviets thought we're under attack. Inside the submarine, chaos, 45 degrees Celsius heat, no air, no updates. The captain and political officer are convinced World War III has begun. They prepare to launch a nuclear torpedo. Here's the terrifying part. They needed 3 officers to agree to fire. 2 said yes. 1 said no. That man was Vasily Arkhipov. He refused to authorize the launch, arguing they should surface and confirm orders first. After tense debate, the captain relented. They surfaced and found out. The world was not at war. If Arkhipov had agreed, that single torpedo could have triggered a nuclear exchange, killing hundreds of millions within hours. So yeah, once again, humanity was saved by one dude who basically said, "Let's all just chill for a second. Give that man infinite peace prizes." Humanity's greatest hobby, almost deleting itself from falling wrenches and angry space rocks. 2 confused bears, broken computers, and metric mix-ups. It's kind of a miracle we're still here. If there's a pattern, it's this. The universe doesn't need to destroy us. We're doing just fine on our own. Every near miss, every false alarm, every "oh no, we thought that was a missile," reminds us how thin the line is between civilization and chaos. But hey, we also have Petrov, Arkhipov, and countless others who, at the right moment, chose calm over panic, reason over rage, and maybe that's why we're still alive to laugh about it. So next time you drop your phone, remember, humans once dropped a nuclear wrench, and we survived that too. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into humanity's dumbest close calls, hit like, subscribe, and remember, we may not be the smartest species in the galaxy, but we are definitely the luckiest.